So let's dive into your journey a bit. So you were born in Iraq, and then 6 months in, your family moved to Dubai, and you've been raised here ever since. I assume, of course, you have two elder sisters, and your parents must have some form of attachment to Iraq. But how do you view it? Do you see it as a place where you can't resonate now, you have no attachment, or you still view it as this cultural root of sorts?
No, yeah, it's a deep one. I am very proud to be Iraqi, and I resonate with being an Iraqi woman. Um, and I hold it so dear. Uh, it's very, very dear to my heart. Unfortunately, I do feel a disconnect with the country itself, with the colors of the country, the texture, the smells. I don't really know what it's like there. I don't know what it's like if I would ever land and, go down and just like see it or smell it or just look up in the sky. And I know like it's pretty much the same thing, but it's different. You know what I mean? Like when I went to London and I studied there, I now can tell you like, oh, I miss the smell of this or I miss walking down that street. But when it comes to my home country, Iraq is a place that I miss, but I don't know what I miss. I miss it's missing in my life, but I don't know what I miss in it. And so this has always been a disconnect for me. It's always been a uh, a crisis, if identity crisis, if anything else. I genuinely feel like I wish I knew it better, and I don't blame anybody. I don't even blame my parents for not taking me. I think they have their own sorrow and their own regrets about certain things. Um, I believe that my parents miss their country every day, and they left when they were a lot, they were, aware and awake, and they were adults. We were the children. I was a toddler. My eyes were still closed. Um, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but I was born under attack. Like my mom gave birth to me in the hospital with no people in the hospital. It was flooded. Water was up to their knees. It was getting bombed, and the war ended about 10 days or something, around 10 days after I was born. And so, my mom had a bit of a medical issue, and so when she gave birth to me, she couldn't stay with me for almost an entire week, and she gave me to one of the family members and a relative. And um, at the time, the lady took care of me. May her soul rest in peace. Her name is Hanan, and it's that's a story that I don't get to say often, because every time I talk about it, I get very emotional because I feel like I was robbed of a country that is supposed to be my home, and it's hard. It's hard, man. Like I can't ever imagine how it would feel like for my parents to have my mom giving birth to me, and then literally like our house was immediately bombed, and my sisters were so young and they were so scared, and my dad was so scared. He went and he got a van, and he put us in the van and he drove off. And can you imagine how people must feel? I mean, it's only the beginning of the podcast. I'm already crying, but it's so hard to talk about. So yeah, of course I think about my country every day. I try to sing about it too, but it's too hard to sing about. And I've never told that to anybody. It's too hard to sing about, but I want to. And I want to visit one day, but hopefully get some tissue. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. I'm strong enough to admit that it's very hard for me to sing about it. It's very hard for me to address it because that's where I'm from and that's who I am. But honestly speaking, like, circumstances were not easy, and my parents did their best to protect us. Imagine being a 20-day old baby in my mom's arm, and she's running through the war and through bombs, and the sky was filled with colors but not of fireworks. CNN, at the time, my mom told me that CNN called it, they called it, Iraq's skies are lit up. It's lit up as though it's a Christmas tree, but it's missiles and bombings and bombs, and like, so. I hope that I answered your question there.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it is, and it always will be very tough. Of course, it'll be a tough situation, a tough feeling to express. I can resonate slightly when you talk about a country that you never experienced, because I'm from India. Most people who have grown up in Dubai, they come from a certain place where they haven't really visited the country.
Yeah.
A lot of friends that I have from Lebanon, a similar situation
thing.
as well. So it's a very, but I still like to hear that story, because I feel this part of our personality doesn't really get a chance to express itself.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
The fact that we still feel like connection, I feel a strong connection to India, but I've never stayed there, you know? So that part of me, I still feel like it needs to be explored a bit more. And of course, it'll always be a part of us, a part of our parents, our family.
But you know what upsets me? What upsets me is that when people confidently and with the audacity that they have go around assuming that I'm either, or we, anybody, is either too embarrassed to talk about their country or too embarrassed to speak in Iraqi or Arabic or the Arabic dialect or whatever it is. But I just want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're hurting. Maybe it's too difficult for them to address where they're from because they're confused. Maybe they don't know enough. Maybe they don't know any better. Maybe they are not ready. Maybe if they talk about it, they immediately cry.
Of course.
So maybe I'm not in the mood to cry every single time somebody asks me, why don't you speak Iraqi often in front of people who follow you on social media? Why don't you speak Arabic? Why don't you sing in Arabic? Can you imagine the confusion that I have in my mind ever since I was born? Going from one school to the other, one country to the next, not knowing where you're really from, not even having the opportunity to meet your grandparents, not having a big family because all your families in Iraq living not a very, lavish lifestyle. There's a huge disconnect, and I'm trying to fill that gap. I'm not lazy. I'm not ignoring the fact. I'm just trying. And if something comes through, then great. If not, you got to be kind. Don't assume things. So that's what upsets me, is that when people assume.